Are you an expert in your field?
Do you want your voice to be heard?
Maybe you have a great idea for a show but don't know how to do it.
Well, we can make it happen.
Email the New Jersey Podcast Guys at njpodcastguys@gmail.com.
Welcome to the New Jersey Real Estate Show. Now, here are your hosts, Tim Waller and Matt Josephs.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the New Jersey Real Estate Show. I'm Tim Waller, your host, and sitting to my immediate left is my co-host, Matt Josephs, also known as the voice of reason.
Howdy, Tim.
How you doing, Matt?
Doing all right.
I got a special show just for you today.
I know. Thank you.
We do have a great show.
I know. We always do, Tim.
Okay. Well, we're going to be discussing in depth the importance of the home buyer consultation and why it's essential that the home buyer interviews and finds the right real estate agent that they both like and trust. So I've taken the time to carefully select and invited a real estate agent on the show today who I believe can and will articulate for us the step-by-step process of the home buyer consultation and the value it delivers to the buyer. This individual agent won the prestigious Coldwell Banker Rookie of the Year Award in 2015 for the entire state of New Jersey and Rockland County, New York. And it's my pleasure to introduce to our listeners Dean Peterson from the Coldwell Banker Wayne office. Dean, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Waller.
So what we're going to do today, Matt, is I figured I didn't want to give you any forewarning because it will work out better this way.
Okay.
So actually, Dean is going to do the buyer consultation for you.
I'm the buyer.
You are the buyer.
Oh, boy, Matt, you're in trouble.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
All right.
Just think of what you'll learn.
I can't wait to learn.
It's very interesting, and I am amazed that more realtors don't do this.
Okay.
Because whether you were buying through him or through anybody, the information that he's going to share with you today, it becomes invaluable. Now, we're going to be doing the show in two parts because the buyer consultation usually takes about an hour, and our episodes run about 30 minutes.
Right.
So today we're going to be doing part one.
Okay.
And then next week we'll follow up with the epilogue in part two.
Okay.
So, Dean, I may interject time to time, but
Please do.
the show is now yours.
Your talent is welcome.
All right. So now, wait, just to get this straight. Now, so I've come to him. I'm looking for an agent, and I'm consulting with Dean.
I'll give you the scenario.
Give me the scenario.
Dean was at an open house.
Okay.
You came to the open house.
Right.
Dean asked you a series of questions. He found out that you were a first-time home buyer.
Sure.
He found out that you had a good job. You were making about $120,000 a year.
Okay, so I lied.
It was
Oh, this is going to be fun.
again, folks. This is why we refer to him as the voice of reason. Okay. So now Dean had said, "Look, Matt.
Yeah.
It's very important. This is the first time you're doing it. I want to bring you in to a buyer consultation because I want to enable you to make the best decision you possibly can for your family."
Well, where am I from?
You are from, where would you like to be from?
The South.
The South, okay.
Sounds like fun.
Tennessee?
Sure. That's fine.
Tennessee. Okay.
Is that really south? I just checking.
Well, it's considered part of the South. It was part of the Confederacy at one time.
No, we'll leave it at that.
Okay. All right. So what we're going to do now, you're here at the consultation.
Yep.
And Dean's going to take the show away.
Dean, I appreciate you coming in.
Dear
Coming here. That is so kind of you, and I brought you some muffins.
These are good. Are these chocolate chip? You made them yourself?
Well, my wife made them.
Okay. Is she here today?
No, she's still back in Tennessee packing up the house.
That's good.
This is only a test. This is only a test.
Okay, go ahead. No, seriously.
So look, I appreciate you coming in. So, we've discussed in the past visit that you're looking for a house, and I explained the importance of doing it the right way, right? Because it can be an overwhelming process.
Sure.
For someone who's never done it before. It could be an overwhelming process for someone who has done it before, right? So getting as much education in the process and the steps along the way, and having someone there to help manage that is critical. It's not something that is, it's necessary. It's required. It's something that if you don't, you could be in for a real shock by the time you're done buying your house.
And that's
You'll
what
never
I'm
want to do
nervous
it again.
about, because I have no clue whatsoever.
Yeah.
The last time I had anything to do with a house being bought, I was 7 years old, and my parents did it.
Right.
So I have no idea how this goes.
So there's a good segue, right? There's a good idea right there. Is I moved 17 times by the time I was 20 years old. 17, and moved from state to state. My dad was transferred a lot. Bottom line was I watched them, right? So I learned that, this was a good realtor and this was not a good realtor.
Okay.
And I watched my mom say X about one and Y about another, and I want to be like the one where she said, this is a great person to deal with, right? The professionalism's there, the caring is there. And it's a stressful time, right? It's stressful if you move. It's stressful you're renting and you're moving. It's just everything becomes burdensome. So to have someone kind of pull you back where other realtors, and Tim was saying, I don't believe that enough realtors do a buyer's consult. It's important. It should be required, right? It should, you're not buying a pair of jeans or even a car. You're buying a house, right? So let's walk through it a little bit with you. Right?
Yeah.
So there's some things that I would want to know, and if you want to tell me you're making $120,000 a year, the things I would ask, and I don't get involved with the mortgage side, right? That's, Dean Scaduto was in, right? Was
he
in,
would do that, yeah.
Right, he handles that. So he's my right arm when it comes to managing the mortgage side of it.
Right. It's just a consultation. You're just...
That's correct. So but I would still need to know what your buying parameters are and what you're capable of affording. So that pre-approval, let's say, is already in place. Right. We're looking for a house that's $400,000. There's a lot of $400,000 homes, and they differentiate by style, by neighborhood, tax rate, right? And there's a lot of other nuances that you need to look for when you're buying a house that probably wheeling around in your head that say, I need to have a commute time. I want to take care of the kids. I want to be able to live in a nice neighborhood that has X amount of facilities for football practice or soccer practice or what have you, right?
You want me to tell you what I want?
Let's get to that.
Okay.
You want to tell me now?
Here's what I'm looking for.
Go ahead.
All right. I want space. I don't care. I don't need a big, huge house. Decent, maybe 2-bedroom, something like that. I want more land. I want quiet. I want peace. But I also want to be close enough, like within maybe 5 miles of an interstate so that I can easily get to where I need to go. I don't want to be too far out, but I don't want to be too far in, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's...
Low taxes, or no taxes, if you could figure out a way to
do that.
get
We're
me
going to move to Delaware.
Yeah. Okay. Deal.
Let me get my license first, and we'll just head down.
Okay, fine. No, low taxes, and what do you need to know? Like the range that I want to spend, or...
Yes. Yeah, that's probably one of the...
I would like to, let's say 225 to 4.
Okay.
Somewhere in there.
That's a range. So look, there's a way we break that down.
That's a rifle range.
That's a... Who was that? Was that Tim?
That was Tim, yeah.
Did he say he would jab in every once in a while?
Yes.
Is that him?
That was him. He's doing color commentary for the audience.
That was a jab. The left hook is coming later.
We're supposed to just keep going. That's for the audience's benefit.
Got it. Yeah. So look, you have... There's a lot of you just threw out a lot of great information that I have to digest as a realtor and be able to put and piece together for you. And you're looking between 225 and 400. You're looking for peace and land, but you're looking also to find something that's within a strategic point of commuting, hopping on a highway.
Right.
All of this has to be adjusted, right? We have to look at a couple different areas. So the first thing I would do is start looking through with you the MLS to try to find certain houses and characteristics of those houses you like. Some like bi-levels, some like colonials. So what kind of house do you like?
I do like colonials. I do like
Cape Cod.
Yeah.
Splits.
Yeah.
We can keep going.
Yeah, keep going. I'll just go or
Would you consider an igloo?
That would be great. Yeah. I do like those old farmhouses with a wraparound porch.
That's nice.
I like those. I guess 19th century looking things. They don't actually have to be from the 19th century, but you know what I mean.
Yes, I know. So you have right now given me a picture, a snapshot of your wants and desires. Now, has to be some flexibility, right?
Of course.
And I lay that out to say, look, there's some things we might or might not find. You definitely want a 1-car garage. If we found some with 2, that makes worth something to you to say, I'm still within my commute distance. I'm still within my land space that I like.
I'll be honest with you, Dean. It's the land that's the most important thing to me. The space. I like space. I like quiet. I don't want to be near my neighbors.
Okay.
I also don't want my neighbors near me.
I had a client last week said the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. So his first and foremost is space. So that's a tough one to try to, if I can find a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom, that's okay. You can adjust that.
And that would be fine.
But finding space is something that is unique to an individual property, right? I can't deviate off of that. And as a realtor, I can't take that wish that you're looking for and really try to say, well, look, it's a small lot. Because if that's your first priority is space, we have to look something for, and space is relative, right? You could say, to me, a 1/4 acre is small. To you, it's huge, right? If you're coming from an apartment building,
small.
It's small too.
I'm talking
two
at least
acres
at least.
And you said 225. Are we still in northern New Jersey?
way out I don't mind being like out in, like, say, Blairstown, let's say, or Hope.
We are now in Montague.
That's fine, as long as
Tim does a commute with you, though. He actually drives you back and forth to work.
He's like, are you sure you want this? Yeah, no, well, I mean, 225 to 4. I'm sure you could find something for. I saw a 4-acre farmhouse out there with 3.5 baths, a couple of outbuildings for 300.
Yep.
And it was
you can find it.
It was on 3.5 acres.
So what's the process? So how do we go about
exactly?
How
Get me that house.
How do we go about getting you that? How we go about combining everything that the New Jersey real estate show is about and everything it has given to the real estate buying population, and said, look, how can we use all this to say, let's go look at the house, because the photos might be off, the commute and the actual property might not be what you think. So we have to go and look at property.
Right.
Zillow is great, Truly is great. All the websites you can put together. It's still looking at a screen, an LCD screen that basically says it's something I can't touch. I can't get the spatial recognition of what it really is about.
Right.
You have to go and look. So that's part of this, is the hunt, right? It's finding not just every 3 days do I look at the internet and the MLS on my side of things to say, look, here's an opportunity, and I feed you this information. That's a lot of work, because you might be looking at something. I do this all the time where you look, right? Matt, you come in and say, I'm looking for this. And I go, okay, but look at this. And you might twist real quick. And it's happened more times than not where the client says, I want to see this. We go look at it. I would never say no, right? And it's really a learning process for you too. We're going to go out, we're going to look at it. You're going to go, wow, you're right. Or I didn't know it was this. If you don't take a picture of a double yellow line in a photograph of a real estate property and you get there and it's on the highway, you don't get the idea why it's priced the way it is. Right?
Gotcha.
Nothing's free, right? You're going to pay a little bit more in taxes in areas where taxes are a little lower, and you're going to pay a little bit less maybe for the same house in areas where the taxes are a little bit higher. So everything's relative, right? So if we go out to Montague, that's great, but you're gonna find that it's part of that is you're going to give up the maybe flexibility of being close to where you want to, or the price of the house versus the tax rate might be a little different. But we're going to get to that. So at a bottom line is we have a nice snapshot of where you need to be. It basically comes down to putting it together to say, this is what you want. Now the process itself is something I would explain as well. Let me explain that. Okay. So we're going to look for a house, right? That's the obvious. But on top of that, we're going to go through the process of things like appraisal process, right? So when you find a house and we look and say, this is the house for you, and you make the offer and we're lucky enough to get it, from there we're going to go through the steps involved in buying that home. You have your inspection, right? You put the offer in, you go under attorney review. So that's where your attorneys get involved and clear you from attorney review. From there you go into under contract. And then from under contract, where is the fun begins? You go into what they call...
That was sarcastic, right?
That was sarcastic. Because the stress level's there. And the stress level's always there. First-time home buyers, to me, have always been unique in their buying because the stress level's there. They've never done it before, and it's good to explain beforehand. So
and
those
it's
steps.
Very foreign. I mean, there's so many steps and so many terms, and you don't know what the hell everything means.
Under attorney review, under contract, appraisal, those steps are involved. So basically we would explain those steps to you. You go through your process of purchasing, attorney review, under contract. You then have your appraisal and your inspection. Those hurdles have to be met, right?
Right.
There's some negotiation involved, and you set up your closing. Your mortgage commitment has to be in place, where you have, that time frame has to be met, and you're all working towards a goal of someone selling you a house, right? There's two sides to that coin. It's the seller has to get to the point where they're comfortable with the transaction as well as you as my client as the buyer. So that's in a nutshell just the quick steps, but we can expand on that.
Okay.
What's something that you look at from a standpoint of timing? How long do you need to be in a house? Is it something you're renting right now, or is it something you want to?
I'm renting now, and I'm sick of it. And so I would say, I don't know. I'm an easygoing guy. I'd rather have the right house than the quickest house, if you know what I mean.
Great. We'll be looking for a few years then.
Yes.
It's okay with you?
Probably a decade.
All right. Dean and Matt, I just got word from our engineer, Peter Cornell. We've reached the midpoint of our episode, and the New Jersey Real Estate Show will return after hearing from our sponsors.
Are you purchasing or refinancing a home? Do you need a free same-day pre-approval? Then call Dean Scaduto from Coldwell Banker Home Loans at 201-322-3456. That's 201-322-3456. The New Jersey Real Estate Show is brought to you by the law offices of Joseph C. Petriello, located in Wayne, New Jersey. To contact them, call 973-890-7262. That's 973-890-7262.
If you're looking to buy or sell a home in New Jersey, contact our Coldwell Banker office in Wayne at 973-694-8000 or call Tim direct at 973-865-0249. You can also visit his website at www.homesinwaynenj.com. Tim's promise to you and your family is to provide you with exceptional real estate service while always working to exceed your expectations. And remember, at Coldwell Banker, we never stop moving.
Welcome back to the New Jersey Real Estate Show. We're here with our guest, Dean Peterson, and Matt Josephs, my co-host, who is the first-time home buyer in this buyer consultation. And we will now continue to discuss the home buyer consultation process. Take it away, boys.
Back to your question before, in all seriousness, my lease is up in 3 months. So I would like to be able to move into something at the end of 3 months.
Okay. My question to you would be, are you able to extend that? Because typically the closing process is at least 60 days. So are you then month to month? Is that okay with you?
I can go month to month. Absolutely. Yes, okay. I can do that.
It gets to that question, right? This is taking away from you and I role playing at the moment, but it comes to those questions, those detailed questions. If you don't ask them and I don't know something, if that's important, because it's a loss of communication, it's a loss of trust, and it's not an understanding that as a professional I have to take care of every. So it gets sometimes personal to the point of saying, where do you work? What time are you in?
Right.
I need to know the detail. So look, you have to be out in 3 months. It's not going to happen, right? And I would say no. You're not going to find something in a day and then turn around and say let's put it under contract.
Right.
It's a rarity because you have.
But like we said, we have flexibility, so we can work with that.
let's leave it at that. We have a work to do, right? This is going to be, and I say this up front, it's going to be a stressful time. I will make it as least stressful as possible. We're going to make it fun, because if you're spending, right? Should we?
Let's do it.
Because if you're not having fun buying a house, what else? It can't be painful. How can I try to even think about not taking the pain away?
Right.
And the pain is really the uncertainty, right? Becomes something you might question in are you doing the right thing? Is this smart, right? You have to be. There's a reassurance involved. There is a point where you become comfortable, right? And I need to make sure that you still might be aware. Like, I've had clients like yourself, Matt. You would get into the buying process, get all excited. This is the house for you, and I have to slow you down and say, wait, Matt, we've got it. We won. 4 bids. We were the number 1 bid out of 4 bids. We got the house, and you jump up and down. I say, wait a minute, it's not over yet, Matt. We got a little work to do, because there's things involved. Like I said, you have the attorneys that chat a little bit before. Going under contract, they clear a few things on the contract, make sure the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted.
Okay.
And then from there we go at what they call under contract. So under contract in the state of New Jersey basically means you have a binding contract between buyer and seller that says you're going to close on this house, and you are credit worthy and or cash worthy of doing such, and that they trust that the realtors and the attorneys have put that together to make that happen, right? Okay. There's a couple of checks and balances, we call them, in the way. One is the inspection, right? The inspection phase. You can buy a house as is, right? There's plenty of those, right? The short sales, but we're talking about a traditional sale where the inspection takes place and there's maybe something I don't see, and I'm not a professional, so I'm not an inspector, but there's certain obvious things you look at. We walk in on a rainy day, Matt, and it's, the leak in the attic is just pouring through the sheetrock. We know there's an issue.
I'll take it.
2 times. So, there's the inspection. The inspection phase is critical for you. You have to do it within a certain time. You have to make sure we have a good inspector on board. Someone's going to protect you. Okay. That process is a certain number of days after going under attorney review and under contract. You basically have your clock is ticking. Okay. And I need to make sure that process is covered, that you're protected. So we go with the inspector. I just had 2 today. Inspector walks in with you as you are the client for that inspector. I step back. I'm just there to kind of let you in and answer any quick questions that come up. But that inspector is there to show you that house in every detail that's possible, besides ripping the sheetrock off the walls.
So I'm seeing what he's seeing. He's going around and he's like, this is that, and there's
he's not doing. It's better than this and that, man.
Okay.
Ready? It's. Let me check every light switch. Let me check every outlet. Let me. It was a great conversation we had with. I'll just tell you a quick side story. We had an inspection going on in the rain, right? And the house was beautiful. And 15, 20 minutes of heavy rain, and the garage started to leak. If we were on a sunny day, we wouldn't have seen it.
Right.
So that comes up and has to be addressed. So let's take that as an example, Matt. We buy a house and you do it through the inspection, and all of a sudden you see the roof is leaking in one part. Doesn't matter. That inspection report then is shared with the seller's attorney. So your attorney takes that from you and I review it. We walk through and we go, look, this is obvious. We have to take care of this, and that water leak has got to go. We then send that over to the seller's attorney. Seller's attorney comes back to us after consulting with the seller and says, look, we're able to do this compensation, adjustment, repair. You're either satisfied with that. You can't go through a house and say that the screen is ripped. Right, I need to take care of that. I don't want the little bugs coming in and bother me at night. Right, you need to be reasonable. Conscious that it's a $400,000 transaction. We found you the $400,000 house, by the way, Matt.
Oh,
that's the one you're buying.
Of course you did. Thank you.
You're welcome. So you basically have that. I call it a gate, right? It's it's sometimes a hurdle, but it's more of a gate. It's like, okay, there's a little bit of a negotiation has to be involved. And again, the as-is sales or some kind of characteristics of you can actually buy and put under contract a house that's technically not as is, but it doesn't give you the full right of inspection. It basically covers things like structural, mechanical, and environmental. So So, for instance, let me touch on those for a second. We walk into a house, and this is part of the buyer's consult, Matt. So it's full breath here.
All right.
It's basically you do something that's a mechanical inspection. It's basically your air conditioning, your heating system, your hot water heater, etc. You walk into something that's structural, right? Structural could be things like the roof about to give way, water coming in, right? The foundation not worthy of a house. There's plenty of those we've seen in the past. And then there's environmental. Environmental is mold, could be radon gas, right? Could be things, and all of these, you get mold, for instance, and there's mold in more houses than people think. And it's not something to raise a big flag and run away. It gets what they call remediated, right? It's removed completely. It's certified by a mold remediation company, and it satisfies that fault.
Okay.
Right? So it's something that all of a sudden that little, and it becomes a panic, right? So Matt, panic. When I show you the report and the inspector sends it back and you go, wow, this house is a piece of garbage.
Unbelievable.
What is, Dean said it was okay and it looked like a nice house.
The hell do you know, Dean?
Let me call Tim, right? So
Hello.
Hey, Tim, Dean sucks.
Well,
So does his inspector.
I just want to let you know that the termite inspection found major termite infestation, which the floor joists are totally chewed through.
Well, I'm gonna throw Dean through those broken floors. Those unjoisted floors.
It's a great show. Is this a hot seat? It's feeling a little warm right now.
Hey, Dean, this is the tough world of real estate.
Yes, it is. Okay, so it basically comes down to making sure that hurdle, that gate is cleared, right? So we go back and we renegotiate a bit.
And the termites get cleared.
And they are not nesting in your home anymore.
Good.
You clear that. Basically within...
They're now nesting in Peter's home.
Brought him over to Pete's. It's like, Pete, hold on to the shopping bag for a bit.
In all seriousness,
put it by the wood.
If you have someone in the neighborhood that had a termite infestation and they get the house treated, chances are they're going to the house to the left or to the right.
So it doesn't kill them. It just makes it unattractive
the colony.
to
It makes
them.
the colony move someplace else.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, very interesting.
The colony marches.
Science.
The colony marches on.
Yeah, look at them go.
It's a very broad show. You
Okay.
talk about a first-time home buyer, and you can bring up termite movement, and that's insane.
Okay, Tim is now
what is
backing
that,
out of the
entomology,
conversation.
the study of bugs?
I'll talk to you later.
If you can only see in the audience, he just kind of backed away from his mic.
He's like cowering down behind his little sound
Tim
thing
is
there.
leaving now. Goodbye. Okay. So next, at about the same time, we have an appraiser. Appraiser comes in from the bank, right? The bank says they want to protect their investment. They need to make sure that they own that property properly to make it advantageous for them to give you the mortgage, right? So they have to make sure there's what they call comps, right? The comparable properties,
right.
and the bank uses those. So as a realtor, I need to go in and make sure that this house we're buying, not together, but I'll use it as a paraphrase, is basically
We're on the same team.
yes,
Yeah.
that it is worthy of them giving you the mortgage at the price you want to mortgage it for.
All right.
There's characteristics within every mortgage company that allow that to pass or to be renegotiated. So if it does not appraise, so for instance, we buy that house for $400,000, the bank says, guess what? I know you loved it. You spent the $400,000, but the comparables in the neighborhood are only $340. So, we'll only give you a mortgage instead of at the rate you wanted it. You wanted a mortgage up at $360. You now can only get a mortgage for $300,000.
So wait, this happens after?
Yes. Yeah, I know. This is where the stress of first-time home buyers.
I don't want to get into buying now.
You don't want to buy? You want to rent?
I'm just going to rent the rest of my
rental
life.
agent as well.
Are you good? Get me into someone I don't have to care about.
So,
all right. Go
so
ahead.
look, you have just entered into. Let me say this first. Buying a house is the most advantageous thing you can do with your money.
Mm-hmm.
That from a standpoint of where to place it, from a standpoint of equity built.
Right. Sure.
It is what you really want to be doing.
Right.
I mean, who wants to pay someone else's rent payment and have the paying down their mortgage?
Absolutely. Right.
So the appraisal comes in. You need to be readjusted. That is another mini negotiation if it happens.
Okay.
My job is to first set up the house that we do buy, that we try to be within those comps, right?
Okay.
So I won't let a client overbid, right? Unless they're full on wanting to do it and they have the cash to compensate. Because if it doesn't appraise, what happens is the bank says you'll have to come up with the rest in cash. So if you have it, you want it, you can do it.
Okay, but why at that point? Why not before?
The process, the mortgage process, the commitment process for a mortgage is it has to occur after you go under contract. You can't go and because they have to have a specific house.
Okay, I understand now. All right. So I'm approved for a mortgage up to $400,000, and of course, like an idiot, I'm going to buy a $400,000 house.
You might buy a $410,000 just to push it because.
Okay.
You've entered the world of the twilight.
Yeah, exactly. This
Matt
makes no
ventured
sense
out to get a 2-acre house with no neighbors, no one around.
Wow, I thought it was 4.
He bought it for 4
2
and
to
only
4.
appraised for $360. Matt says, I no longer want to buy. I just want to rent. Welcome to the Twilight Zone.
Okay.
Too much work.
Yeah, this is.
All right.
But it all pays off in the end.
All right,
I just
good.
look for the final day when you turn the key and the excitement, because that's where it all is.
Okay.
Because then you know you own a piece of America.
Right.
Truly.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Was that sarcastic?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So we passed the appraisal part,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
We've gone to the point where we're now into you should be working on your mortgage commitment. We set up a time to close. We have a walkthrough. Basically comes through, and the walkthrough says, before you close on the house tomorrow, I have a walkthrough tomorrow for a closing on Thursday. Basically says, let's make sure that the house is still in the condition that the inspector and or you saw it.
Right. Okay.
So that covers that. Closing is very simple. It's usually at the buyer's attorney. So your attorney, Matt, we're all going to run down there. We're going to meet. We're going to sign the documentation for your mortgage. You're going to sign that first, and then you're going to sign for the sale of the house, the contract to go through. You'll be wire transferring money to the seller or the seller's attorney, and you'll close on your house, and I'll hand you the key.
All right. Then I move in, and I go in, I open it finally for the first time, collapse on the floor.
You're exhausted.
I'm exhausted. And then I say, I don't really like this place. What was I thinking?
Then you call Tim, and I'll come over and list the property.
Tim, Dean did it again.
Dean did it again.
He'd only bring us by at certain times.
This is a situation I every day. 80% of my clients are new home buyers, first time home buyers. No.
Okay.
Contrary,
yeah, I got you.
Right, 100% love the home they're in.
Okay, I hope so. Yeah,
that's part of it, right? I can't if it's not fun and you're not happy during the process. It's the wrong house, right? If you don't see yourself in it, and when we find it, Matt, that it's going to be the house for you because we've gone out and done
10 years.
Maybe not 10 years.
5.
Okay.
5 years.
5 years. Wow. But that's the point. Is the reward for me is to say is to support and manage that process, to take away the stress, to take away the pain of anything that would become something that you think is bad. It's just really uncertainty, and then correct that to make it a positive and support that process.
Dean and Matt, I got good news.
What's that?
This episode has come to a close.
Oh, thank God.
Okay?
Wow.
But make sure...
I was having fun.
No offense, Dean. You're great.
Make sure
Matt just doesn't want to buy a house.
I just don't want you. Yeah. I've given up on the American dream.
Make sure you tune in next week as we continue to discuss the first-time homebuyer consultation with Dean Peterson and Matt Josephs, the voice of reason, and the importance of the buyer interviewing and finding the right real estate agent that they both like and trust. And remember, leaders aspire to lead, then lead to inspire others. Thanks for listening, and stay safe.